All right, welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. I appreciate you for tuning in. Of course, shoot us a quick take on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on the next episode. Now, we got some AFC North and AFC South division winners here. Now, let's start with the AFC North, because this division is, man. People argue that this is, the most stacked division in football. And I think it really comes down to the powerhouses of the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Ravens coming off of back-to-back division wins, which is cool. But there's a pattern here in the AFC North, which is kind of strange. And it's like each time a team wins 2 division titles back-to-back, they lose the following year. And another team wins the next 2. So, for example, the Bengals won the division in 2021 and 2022. Then the Ravens ended up winning division 2023 and 2024, which was last year. So it's crazy. Honestly, the Browns immediately eliminated. I'm going to just go ahead and put them off to the side right now. I don't think they're in any position to compete for the division right now. No shade to Browns fans, but let's just get that out the way. I don't want to talk nonsense. The Steelers, I see the Steelers going 8-9 again, and I see a lot of Steelers fans being pissed and calling for Mike Tomlin to actually be fired. But with Aaron Rodgers as the leader, personally, I'm not convinced that will be enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers to actually go along and win the division. I know what Mike Tomlin has done over the past few years with all the other quarterbacks and this guy and that guy, and he's had the defense doing this and that. But ultimately, I think his time in Pittsburgh has clocked out. I think it's over with after this 9-8 season, 8-9 season again with the Pittsburgh Steelers. People will really begin to realize that Mike Tomlin has to go. And as great as a coach he is, sometimes a change in scenery is just what a person needs. And I think that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do. So I don't really see them winning the division. And I think it's a 2-team race, really, in the AFC North between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, no disrespect to the Steelers and the Browns, but it's just not that year for y'all, unfortunately. And between these 2 teams, the Ravens, Bengals, I think the Bengals going to end up winning it. And I say this because, man, the pattern. I'm on the side of the pattern. Each team only wins 2 division championships, and then the next team goes and win another 2. I look at what the Bengals went through last year. Some injuries. There was a lot of situations going on with the defense where they're just awful. Oh, my gosh, god-awful. And the defense is still kind of going to be struggling, especially if they don't re-sign Hendrickson. But the ultimate reason I say the Cincinnati Bengals will end up winning this division is because they can go toe-to-toe with anybody and everybody, regardless of how bad that defense is. Nobody can stop that offense of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I don't know why, man. For some reason, this Cincinnati Bengals offense remains explosive despite how bad the O-line is, despite how bad the defense is, despite how bad the play call is. Whatever it is, the Bengals will always be competition as long as they have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Those 2 guys, and the rest, I know they're not the only ones on the offense, but those 2 guys being the core of the offense really just help the Cincinnati Bengals always stay competitive. So last year, we seen a lot of games go down to the wire with the Ravens and the Bengals, and even Bengals and the Chiefs, and just a lot of Bengals games went down to the wire here. So I think push comes to shove, Ravens, yeah, they still got the same defense, the same squad that is very elite. No shade to them. But ultimately, I think push comes to shove, man. If the Bengals just improve just a tiny bit from the start of how they did last year, I think the Bengals can definitely take this division. So I'm going to go with them, man. And also the pattern of 2-2 each year of teams winning 2 division titles back-to-back, then losing the next 2. That title has not failed just about all decade, or that pattern just hasn't failed just about all decade. So, that really stands out to me. But ultimately, man, Bengals, that defense is just rough, man. That defense is very bad. It's ugly. They allowed the 3rd most yards in the conference, and they can just outscore teams, which is just ridiculous. So as long as they got Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, I believe in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm going with the Bengals to win this division here, even though the Ravens look elite. They got the same squad. Defense is elite. It was number 1 in defense in certain categories. I understand all of that, man. But some about the combination of the core of that offense between Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They stay competitive no matter how bad every other aspect of the team is. So going with the Cincinnati Bengals to win that division of the AFC North. Gonna be crazy if it does happen. Just best believe you're gonna see this clip. Just know. Anyway, the other team here is the AFC South. Now the AFC South, man, a lot of people look at this division and you think it's not really that competitive right now. You see the Texans and the dominance of CJ Stroud, what he's been doing over the past few years. They've kind of had control of this division the past few years in back-to-back division champs. However, I think there is going to be a little bit of competition in the AFC South, man. So you look around in this division, you see the Jaguars, Titans, Colts. Immediately, you're like, well, all of these teams are kind of bad. But I think the team that can really make for competition in this division is going to be the Tennessee Titans, man. And I don't say the Tennessee Titans are going to be great competition for the Texans in this division because of Cam Ward. Yes, Cam Ward is great and he'll outperform whatever the hell Will Levis was doing. But the defense for the Tennessee Titans is low-key not bad, man. This defense is kind of nice. When you think about it, I know they allow, depending on how you manipulate the statistics, it can look bad in certain ways. But you got to remember that over more than half of their 14 games that they lost last year was still a down to the wire type of situation, man. They lost more than half of these 14 games by less than 10 points last year when you talk about the Tennessee Titans defense. So also, if you look even deeper into what they've been doing, they allowed the least amount of points per game in the conference, and they allowed the least amount of passing yards in the AFC as well. So the Titans defense, man, I think they'll continue to be solid. They didn't really lose many people off that defense. And then you add Cam Ward, who can possibly help bring in some scoring on the offense. And hey, man, division games get weird. Division games get messy. So Texans, they probably have some competition here in the Tennessee Titans. I know the Colts usually give them a run for their money, and so do the Jaguars. You could argue that the Jaguars might make a difference, but I'm not convinced on the Jaguars, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But I think the biggest competition for the Houston Texans in this division here is the Tennessee Titans. So I'm going with the Texans to win this division of the AFC South, but I think the most competitive team and a team that will give the Texans the most competition in this division is going to be the Tennessee Titans without a single doubt. Now, all my Jaguars people, please come to the stand. Let's talk Jaguars because Trevor Lawrence ain't been getting enough slander for me on the field. I'll put it that way. Trevor Lawrence ain't been getting enough slander for me as a quarterback on the field. We talk about the NBA. We laugh at Joel Embiid, no conference finals. What the hell we do? We talk about Kyler Murray. We talk about Justin Herbert. We talk about Justin Fields. A lot of these people in similar draft classes have been getting a lot of criticism, man. They've been getting a lot of hate on why they haven't accomplished this and why they haven't accomplished this. I'm just saying, where's that same energy for Trevor Lawrence? I ain't got nothing against him as a person, whatever. But on the field, where's that same energy for Trevor Lawrence and everything that hasn't been coming with the wins and the playoff wins and the victories and stuff like that? What's the excuses? And I know, look, you could argue the pieces around him and the pieces this, but I'm just saying, man, at some point, when you're the top 5 highest paid quarterback in the NFL and you ain't producing wins, that to me looks like a waste of money. And it's clearly not enough criticism for a guy who's top 5 highest paid in the league right now, because Trevor Lawrence should be getting slandered left and right about his play and production on the field and why it hasn't translated to wins. That's all I'm saying. Look, in the Jaguars, I really don't think there'll be much competition in the AFC North this year. You can argue with me, but I'm going to tell you some stats here because I didn't really see many improvements made this offseason that's really going to help them be much better than last year. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, he stays healthy. Cool. He got a new receiver, Travis Hunter. Cool. I love that. He might make some noise, but ultimately, what you going to do about that defense in Jacksonville? Because the defense gave up the most passing yards in the AFC last season. They gave up the second to most rushing yards in the AFC. They gave up the most yards per game in the AFC. And they really didn't do much on building on that defense outside of Travis Hunter. That's the most exciting thing that they have right now. So I get it. Hey, you got Trevor Lawrence healthy and, Travis Hunter, who's going to be exciting. He's going to smile. But ultimately, man, it ain't enough slander going around for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars for me, only because he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. To me, no. But I think Texans got this division on lock. They'll run it back. They'll probably three-peat and secure this division again. But Texans or the Titans is going to be another team to watch for competition. So Texans-Titans is really going to be the biggest race in this division of the AFC South. So that's how I see it. Other than that, man, look, dog, I greatly appreciate you for tuning in, listening, kicking it with me. Of course, if you hear something you agree with, you dislike, you just want to get a takeoff, go ahead. 219-413-9405, and we'll play your take back on the next episode. Other than that, man, I'm going to leave y'all on a positive note here. And the positive note is something I've said plenty of times and something I've said before. But it's just going to be rest if you need to, but just don't quit. So sometimes you got to take a break. Sometimes you need to take a nap, whatever. You need to ease up, change your routine, scale back, evaluate. But just don't quit. Keep going at it. Because if you quit, that's going to be the only thing that stops you from getting to your goal. Sometimes it takes longer. Shoot, trust me. I know, man. Definitely takes a long time sometimes to get where you're trying to go. So just stay at it and then you'll get there. As long as you keep trying to figure it out, you'll get there. Other than that, man, that's all I got for you. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back later on this week. And so on and so on and so on.